Welcome to an eye-opening dive into the controversial figure who shaped modern political thought and revolution. I am Ode Agbaka Godwin, and today we are examining the personal life, the flaws, and the dark legacies of Karl Marx, the intellectual icon whose vision of an utopian society sparked both revolutions and immense human suffering. In this piece, we are uncovering the lesser-known and often ignored aspect of Marx's life, revealing a side that contrasts sharply with the idealized image many hold of him. From his personal failings to his authoritarian mindset and controversial actions, let's get to know the truth about the man behind the theory, that is, social conflict theory. But please, before we do that, remember to like, to share, to comment, and subscribe to this channel. Karl Marx is hailed as one of the most influential thinkers in history. His ideas sparked revolutions, inspired political movements, and shaped the trajectory of the 20th century. Yet, behind the iconic image of Marx the philosopher and revolutionary, lies a man whose personal life and behavior were far less admirable. Born in 1818 in Germany, Marx's early life wasn't as grand as the legacy he would later build. He was raised in a middle-class family, yet he often squandered the financial support of his father, spending it on food, drink, and late-night vain debates rather than focusing on his education. He barely scraped through the university years and wasn't exactly the model student. But this lack of discipline would be the least of his contradictions. Marx's personal life, especially his family dynamics, paints a picture far from the intellectual idealism many associate with him. He was a man of deep personal hypocrisy, indulging in extramarital affairs while condemning the bourgeoisie for their moral failings. He had a child with a family maid hailing Demuth and then denied his responsibility, leaving a son to be raised by others while he secretly let his friend Friedrich Engels claim paternity to avoid the scandal. While Marx relentlessly critiqued capitalist society for exploiting workers, he treated those closest to him with similar disdain. In a shocking twist of irony, Marx never paid Helen Demuth, the maid who worked tirelessly for his family. Historians have documented how she managed the family finances, yet Marx made no effort to compensate her for her labor. Marx's personal temperament was no better. His notorious arrogance, cruelty, and authoritarian behavior alienated even his closest associates. He used racial slurs, including derogatory terms, to describe fellow revolutionaries like Ferdinand Lassalle. The hostility that Marx displayed towards those who disagreed with him wasn't just intellectual, it was deeply personal, often reducing his opponent to mere target for mockery and ridicule. Karl Marx's idea about revolution and class struggle didn't just stay on paper, they became a blueprint for some of the most devastating events in modern history. Marx envisioned a world where the proletariat would rise up and overthrow the capitalist system, abolishing private property and creating a classless society. This vision, though appealing to many, laid the groundwork for the authoritarian regime that followed in its wake. Marx's call for the violent overthrow of existing system wasn't just theoretical. He advocated for the creation of armed council and supported the idea of permanent revolution. His theory didn't just inspire peaceful change, they fueled bloodshed and terror. Marx's word, written in 1850, outlined a roadmap for revolutions that would evolve into genocidal movement across the world. His belief in the violent necessity of a revolutionary purge would be echoed by Lenin, Mao Zedong, and other communist leaders, who would go on to implement their version of Marx's utopia through extreme violence, oppression, and mass murder. It's one thing to critique an economic system, but when Marx's ideas were put into practice, they resulted in unimaginable human suffering. Historians have estimated that communist regimes inspired by Marxism were responsible for the death of nearly 200 million people in the 20th century. The Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, the Chinese Cultural Revolution, and the rise of North Korea and Cuba were all marked by extreme violence, a direct result of Marx's vision for societal change. The utopian world Marx envisioned was a myth. Instead of equality and freedom, those who embraced his idea were often subjected to oppression, terror, and dictatorship. Marx's belief in the inevitability of socialism led to an environment where dissent was not tolerated and where those who stood in opposition to the new order were brutally crushed. So what does Karl Marx's legacy truly represent? Is he the revolutionary figure who sought to liberate the oppressed, or is he the architect of a political philosophy that justified mass murder, authoritarian rule, and the suppression of freedom? Marx's own personal flaws, his hypocrisy, his authoritarian tendency, and his cruel treatment of those around him stand in stark contrast to his ideas of equality and justice that his writing exposed. Perhaps the greatest irony of all is that his life was filled with contradictions, fighting for the liberation of the working class while simultaneously exploiting and degrading those closest to him. Karl Marx may have been an intellectual giant, but his personal actions, behavior, and disastrous implementation of his theories suggest a much darker side of his character. As we continue to grapple with the legacy of Marxism in the modern world, it is essential to confront the full scope of Marx's ideology, not just the ideas that inspired revolution, but also the human sufferings that resulted when those ideas were put into practice. Thank you for joining me today in this exploration of one of the most complex and controversial figures in history. If you found this investigation or video into Karl Marx's life and legacy intriguing, don't forget to like, to subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comment section. Stay tuned for more videos as we take a deep dive into figures who have inspired our world. This is Everything Sociology 24, where we deep dive to uncover the truth. Thank you for watching once again.